Perfect. Hi, thank you all. Did you have a good last session? You've all been in different things. Probably I'm a bit jealous because I've not seen the other sessions and I'll have to watch the videos back. So this is all being filmed. So I'm going to talk about starting an agency. So first of all, I guess I'm just going to put into context what an agency is. So an agency, we're a team of people, and agencies can vary in size and they can vary in disciplines. But us at Reflect Digital, we design things. So we design all the bits that you've seen today about Aspiration Digital. We've designed the leaflets in your bags, the bag itself. We build things, so we build websites. We then do marketing to get people to those websites. So we do SEO, PPC. Some of you might have been into some of those talks. So getting people to find things on Google. We do a bit of social. We do video. And then what else do we do? That's probably most of what we do. We do all those different types of services. So we're not a product. So when we're selling things, it's not a product in a box where I can say, here's the exact features. It's bigger than that. It's more of like a brief, and it's trying to understand what a client wants and interpret that and turn it into deliverables that hopefully bring things to their business. So that's kind of what an agency is and does. So when it comes to running a business, you are never going to know it all. I can promise you that. And I thought I'd start with that because I don't know it all. And I don't know any business owner that knows it all. So you have to find a point where you decide you can start a business that you know enough, and you'll always be learning. New things are literally sent to test you every single day, and that is part of the fun, and that is one of the reasons I'd say you choose to run a business versus working in a business, because running a business is challenging, and you have a plan and you think, I'm going to do this, and then a curveball comes at you, and oh no, you think you've won a piece of work and then something happens and you haven't got it, and all these things are set to challenge us, and some of them will be really positive, some of them will be negative, some of them will be brilliant new people you bring into the team, some people will, I don't know, suddenly not be able to come to work for some reason, and you've suddenly got to cover that work. There's all these things that go on, and they're all sent to challenge us. But that's part of what I love. I love thinking about, well, how are we going to fix this? What are we going to do? And that's part of running a business. So for me, one of the main things to do is surround yourself with good people. So when you're starting a business, who is going to be around you to help make this happen? And that doesn't mean they have to be in your business, but who's going to be your sounding board? Who's going to listen? Who's going to tell you, do you know what, that sounds like a really bad idea, and be honest with you and help you, because you won't have all the right answers. So you need to surround yourself with good people. And day one, it might just be you. So around you, you need to know you've got people that are going to help you and support you. You're going to make mistakes, and you should embrace the fact that you're going to make mistakes. But the number one thing is that you can learn from those mistakes. So you think about what happened, why did it happen, and how can I make sure it doesn't happen again? So a mistake we probably made early in running the business was around hiring people. We didn't have a very good process. I'd worked in an agency before, and I'd managed a team, but I'd never been solely responsible for hiring people. So then when it came to suddenly needing to bring people into our business, it was kind of, okay, well, I'll interview them, and if they seem nice, I'll give them the job. And sometimes that worked, and sometimes it didn't work. And what I hadn't realised was, one, I don't think I was clear enough at that point in the early days of what our values were and what I was looking for from a person, more than just the skills to do the job. What did it mean to be the type of person to work in the Reflect Digital culture? But I also didn't necessarily know the process I should be putting them through. So we now have quite a rigorous process where we've learned from our mistakes that they come in for a first interview, then second interview we'll normally set them a task. So something that should be within their skill set based on their type of role. So we're not trying to trick anyone or anything like that. It's kind of a task they should be comfortable doing. And then we ask them to come back and present what they've done with that. And that helps us to see their approach and how they might do things. And then we talk to them about our values and ask them to demonstrate how in their day-to-day life do they show that they already have this value, because they're the kind of values we'd expect people to be able to demonstrate outside of work as well. Be prepared to give everything. And it really is, especially in startup stage. Like, yes, you get to a more comfortable stage in a business where maybe everything, all the cogs are working and everything's turning right, and you maybe don't have to give your all as much as you had done. I still haven't found that time. We're currently probably in the busiest time we've ever been in, and by giving my all, it literally, yesterday I was 5:30 in the morning, out on a train into London, back to Kent, then I had to go back to London for something else in the evening, got home about 1 o'clock in the morning. Like, that's giving you everything. But it's all because, and actually some of that I didn't have to do. I was in a was in a strategy meeting with Mary Curie in the morning, and I didn't have to be there, but I wanted to be there because actually I wanted to learn a bit myself. It was something that I'd not done before. So you constantly have to push yourself and want to push yourself and learn new things. And you have to be prepared to give everything. To be able to say, when your friends say, should we go to the pub tonight? No, I really can't. I've got to get this proposal out. And coming back to that idea of delivering on our promises, if I've promised I'm going to do something, I've got to get that done, and that needs to come over everything else. So you've got to be prepared to give everything. Be your favourite bosses. So a lot of people will say, like, you can go and be an entrepreneur straight away. Go and start a business, and that is great, and you definitely can, and some people are mega successful from doing that. But from my personal experience, one of the things that's helped make me who I am today and the leader I am today in our business is having had amazing bosses that I think back and I think about how they nurtured me and how they took time for me and how they were helping me in my role. And then I think about the really horrible bosses, the ones where if they said my name, my stomach would curdle a little bit, and I'd be like, I don't really want to talk to them, and my legs would be shaking and I'd feel horrible about it, and I didn't really like going to work there. And that's all helped make me and make Reflect Digital what it is today, because I know that I never want Reflect Digital to be that place. I don't ever want anyone on a Sunday night to feel sick thinking I don't want to go to work tomorrow because it's horrible. And I also know what it felt like to have a really good boss that had time for me, that inspired me, that helped me to become who I am today. So for me, being your favourite boss is really important, but you can only do that if you've had bosses and you've had a chance. And actually, you can also look at teachers and who were your best teachers that helped you to learn and inspire you as well. It's kind of a similar role. Learn how to hire, so I've touched on that. So that's really important. If you're going to grow a team, you need to know how to do it. And you're going to need to build an amazing team. I mean, you could be a one-person business, that happens, and you can be really successful. But if you want to build something like an agency, you're not going to be able to do it all on your own. I mean, I started an agency without being able to design. I definitely, like, you don't want to see my Photoshop skills. I can't develop, I can't build things. I can do a bit of marketing, and like, I've got strategy and I'm creative in my mind, but I can't put it on paper. So I was always going to need people around me. So in the early days, I used freelancers. And then as we've grown, I've been able to hire those people in. But building an amazing team is important. As I said this morning, like, I wouldn't be anything, thank you, without the team around us. Like, the award, we won an award last night, and that was solely down to the team. I haven't even worked on those campaigns, and I got to go on stage with Hannah that you saw earlier in the panel and pick up an award for the work she's done. So you've got to have an amazing team. If you've got a team that know things you don't know, you're doing really well, because you need specialists. Learning how to lead, this is important. It's different, like managing versus leading are two very different things. And learning how to inspire and to make people...
I'm after Adam Tomlinson.
Yeah, no worries. Learning how to lead. Leading is very different to managing and being able to inspire. And I was telling the group earlier, you go through ups and downs in a business, and you have to find ways to cope with that yourself. But what you don't realise is how much that affects those around you as well. So actually 18 months or so ago, we were having a bit of a tough time in our business. We thought we were going to win some work, we didn't win it, and it meant that financially it was a bit of a struggle. And Paul and I both were really stressed, because it's scary when you've got 20 odd people and you've got to pay them, and you definitely don't want to have to lose anyone in the team or anything like that. And we didn't realise it, but we were having a real negative effect on the team around us, which was probably having an effect on us not winning work in general, because we were all in this kind of bit of a negative, and suddenly when we opened our eyes to the fact that, hold on a minute, our leadership is rubbing off on everyone, that no one's feeling ambitious and excited and being driven at the moment, you suddenly go, hold on a minute, I need to snap out of this. And being able to be self-aware and pick up on those things, and being able to change your viewpoint and make a difference is absolutely key. Be the best problem solver you can be. Solving problems is like one of the number one skills in a business, because people bring you lots of problems. Now, I try really hard to inspire the team to think about not bringing me problems, bring me a problem, but also come along with some solutions that you think might be the right idea. Whether they're right or wrong, amazing that you've brought solutions, and we'll work through those solutions together and we'll pick which is the best route. So being a problem solver is really important in a business, but if you're leading a business, it really is like the key thing. It's learning, how am I going to look at, like at the moment, one of our biggest problems at Reflect Digital is we have got so much work, which is great. We're winning new stuff, we're getting loads of pitches in, but we don't have enough of the team to deliver some of it. So we need to problem solve around that. We need to get extra support in, we need to hire. And actually today's part of the solution to that. It's not a quick solution, but it's a long-term solution of inspiring you guys to think about digital and think about that as a career path so that we don't have this digital skills gap that's happening. Work with specialists. So I was quite headstrong probably early on in running the business. I thought, oh, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I don't want too much input from other people necessarily. I'm going to do it my way. But actually you realise you need those specialists around you. So one of our best partners at Reflect Digital is our accountancy firm. And we started working with them about 2 years ago. And they specialise in agencies, so they understand our business. And they obviously understand the numbers, that's what they do. But they've been able to add so much value to us that another accountant couldn't do because they understand our business. So they're specialist at what we do and they're specialist at their skills. So really important to find those people that can help you grow and help give you advice. They've been there, they've seen it, they've seen other people doing it. Be willing to get your hands dirty. You're never too big to get your hands dirty. Like even if Reflect Digital one day has got 1,000 employees, I will still be first in line to get my hands dirty if it needs to happen. And that is the mark of a good leader as well, that the team can see that and they see that you don't set yourself, oh, I'm not putting things in the dishwasher, I'm the boss here. Like, I can put stuff in the dishwasher, I can do anything. And that's really important for motivating a team and for driving a team, because you've got to lead by example. You've got to be creative. Now, I don't mean physically, as I said earlier, I can't use Photoshop, I'm terrible. I'm not creative. You don't even want me drawing. Do you know, in the strategy meeting yesterday, I had to draw a circle and a pie chart, and wow, it looked more like an egg. It was terrible. I was like, you don't want me to draw this circle, guys. I know it sounds simple, but yeah, it's not going to be a circle. It was an egg. But being creative in your mind and how you're thinking about things, your approach to what you're doing and trying to do things different is really important, because to succeed in business, you can't just be a replica of another business. You've got to have something special about you, and bringing your creativity to that is going to help make that happen. You've got to have fun. You spend most of your life at work. So at the moment you feel like you spend most of your life at school, but eventually you're going to spend most of your life, and it really is most of your life, working. So you've got to enjoy it. You've got to have fun. Yes, there'll be ups and downs and good days and bad days. That happens. You take that. But you've got to be able to have fun. Create a culture others want to emulate. So for me, having worked in businesses that I loved and worked in some businesses that I really hated and gave me that sick feeling on a Sunday night, I knew that I had to create a culture that I loved and that the team would love, and that the team would go home and tell their friends about, can you believe where I work? Like, this happened today, or you should come work here too because it's brilliant. Like, you want that, and you want other like businesses to look at you and go, oh, I wish we did things like they do. Like, how can we be more like them? That's the best answer. That's the best place to be. Agree on shared values. So I shared our values earlier today. Really important, and really important that everyone understands those and that you hire and fire on those. So when we're hiring people, as I said, we ask people to talk about them and talk about how they deliver on them. And if someone doesn't live up to it, they can't work with us. They're not right for our agency. If that value isn't natural to them, or they can't make it natural to them, then they need to find somewhere else to work, because that's important to how we work. And I ask all of the team to call each other out on that as well. So they're like, not from a point of firing, but just from a, well, that wasn't very Reflect. I would have thought you'd help me with that. And people can talk like that and say that. Being open to feedback, which is hard, especially when you're trying really hard, and like you might just think, oh, someone feels like they've criticised me and I'm doing my best. Like, they're not criticising, they're trying to help you. So being open to receiving that feedback and taking it on the chin and looking at, well, based on that feedback, what can I do differently? And asking more questions, saying, okay, well, you've given me that feedback, so what should I do next? What do you think? And being really open to that. Always be learning. You, as I started with, you'll never know it all. So always be learning, whether that's around your craft, whether that's trying to make yourself better as a leader, whether that's, it could be anything around. I recently did mental health first aider training so that I could start to understand a bit more around mental health and how I can help support my team better. Always be learning. You never know it all. look after yourself. So it makes sense after mentioning mental health. You have to look after yourself. To be the best you can be, you've got to make sure you're taking time out as well. And that's difficult at the point where you're in that growth phase. And I started earlier on by saying you've got to give everything, and you do, but you also need to know how to get that balance right, because you will make yourself ill and like burn out if you don't look after yourself. So it's getting that fine balance. For me, it's I have to go to the gym. If someone tries to stop me when I've got a class on, as much as like, it might be cold outside and I think I don't want to go, I'm like, no, I've got to go, because my head will feel clearer and I'll have more energy by using some energy and going to the gym. So find the things that work for you and what you need to do. And then learning to sell. So I'm going to hop into something else now and just show you how we approach sales. So I'd done selling, I'd done quite a bit of selling, and naturally I'm quite a salesy person, but when I started the agency I hadn't really considered I need to learn to properly pitch, and I'm going to pitch to some massive companies like Tottenham Hotspur, and we've just started working with SagePay. They're a huge global business. Like, how do I pitch? And pitching is like putting together coursework, is how I liken it to. It's looking at the brief of what the customer wants. So normally they will have come to you with either a written brief, or you'll have a phone call conversation or a meeting, and they'll tell you this is what we're looking for. So in this instance, Spurs had come to us. We'd done their previous 2 years campaigns, but every year we got asked to pitch again. And they've given us a brief. This is what we want to achieve. We want more membership renewals. This is what you've got to mention. Come up with some ideas. So at this point, what I'm about to show you, we'd done about 200 hours and we were not sure if we were going to get paid. So at that point, we've done all this work to try and inspire them to pick us. And luckily they did pick us. Spoiler alert. So this is how we packaged it up. So I'm going to do this in about 3 minutes flat. We would have taken about 30 minutes. We'd have built a story, got them engaged. We're in the room with them. We're in one of their beautiful boardrooms at the stadium. So looking forward to success, looking forward to progress, and looking forward to Wembley, because this was the year that they were going to be at Wembley, and then the future, this was the CGI of their new stadium. So we're building up the story. We did a fan forum. So in marketing, it's always good to go and talk to the audience that you're wanting to market to. So we literally put it out on all of our Facebooks and asked everyone we could, any Spurs fans, we're going to buy you a drink, maybe give you some chips or something. Come to the pub on this night. We want to get your input and talk about what Spurs means to you and what you're thinking about the next season. We had people from my friend's kind of 14-year-old son through to this guy with a hat here was my friend's granddad. He was 90 and he used to live next door to White Hart Lane, and he turned up with these amazing like programs that looked like they were about to fall apart from, I don't know, 1950 or something. It was amazing. So we had all the age range, which we couldn't have planned better if we tried. And they were just there to give us some feedback, which then turned into a kind of team brainstorm. So on the left were some of our ideas, on the right were things that came out of the fan focus group. And what we're doing here is we're showing the client this was our working, this is how we got to where we're going. Because we don't want to just show them where we've got to and not tell a story. And also, if they don't 100% love what we've done, but they see something here that was gold dust, we might still win the work. Same as like you might hand your coursework in and you might not get the best grade for the end bit, but you got the grade because you did all the working and you showed your process, and actually that bit was awesome. So we then showed them the taglines. So these were some of the tagline ideas that we had. Again, with the view, if they don't like the one we pick, look, here's some we made earlier, you can pick another. And this was the one we picked, Forward as One. We're going into the new season, we're looking to the future, we're going forward as one, and their club membership is One Hotspur. And then we started to create all the artwork, and I won't talk you through all of this because we're short on time, but we've done things like this. Here was a lovely idea around using the player artwork and then layering the fans into the player artwork, and I'll show you later on a social campaign that we had to come off of that. So this was all artwork for printed materials. So we are predominantly digital, but this was a lot of printed work for Spurs. So this was to go to all of their members that were current members, asking them to renew for the next season. These were the kind of assets. So what we mean there is these are the assets that across all the different bits of artwork, whether that's online or on paper or wherever they see it, these are the type of assets we keep using to keep it all consistent. So from a fan point of view, they're like, oh, this all feels like the same campaign. these are just some of the internal spreads, and I'll just flick through a few of these. So we're showing them what layouts might look like, showing them some different variations, showing them how it will be personalised as well, showing them envelopes, and what the suite of the 3 bits that went in the envelope might look like. That was what the landing page would look like. And then this was our social engagement idea, was that people could hashtag THFC selfie, and then they'd put their photo in, and then they might be able to star in some of the artwork. So and this wasn't part of the brief, they didn't ask us to think about social, but we were going over and above to sell in a story and an idea. Then we went on to the junior stuff, so different look and feel, different messaging, because it's a very different audience. It's also as an audience one where you have to consider the young person themselves, but you also have to consider the parent, because actually it's probably the parent that's paying for it, especially when it's like 6 and 7 year olds. So it's how do we make sure we're getting the right messaging in there for both. So I'll flick through this. With this we had 2 concepts. So we had this one, which was very on brand for what they'd done before, and then we had this one which was slightly different, and this was actually what they went for. So it was at the time that Harry Kane and Dele Alli had done this like handshake thing that was going a bit viral online. So we thought, well, let's use that as a campaign. So that's what the look and feel was. And then I can't actually show you the video, but this was again added extra. This was extra mile for us. We got my friend's kid and his friend to do their own handshake, and we filmed it, and then as part of the pitch we clicked on that and we could play the video, and it was a 20-second video, but it was great because they were like, wow, so we could turn this into a social campaign, and parents could send these in for their kids, and maybe they could win and come and actually do a handshake with Harry Kane or something. And it was showing this over and above wider campaign than what they'd actually just asked us to do. These were then media channel bits, and then we kind of end with a thank you. We're excited for our place in your future. And we won the work, and it was a good thing too, because we'd spent all that time on it. But that's what you have to do in an agency. Sometimes you'll put all of that time and all of that effort in, and you might not win it. So you have to learn how to do the sales process and how that works. And then I'm just going to end my bit with remembering the power of thank you. So I finished that pitch with a thank you. But when it comes to running a business, this word gets forgotten sometimes. And I think, and that's what I definitely have seen from some bosses that I've worked with. And that power of thank you is so important. It's so key to motivating people. And sometimes it's not money that they need. They just need to feel appreciated for the work they're doing. So I'm going to thank you for all your time. We've got a question up front here.
Yeah, just like in my school, we had a business challenge, and we had to come up with something similar. But we got told that using a thank you is quite immature when using it to like pitch to other businesses. We got told like not to.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would always, because they've given their time to listen to you, and they'll have given time when they've originally given you the brief, and they might have given you time where you can ask some questions in between, and they've been willing to listen to you. So for me, there's never a world where thank you's not allowed. Like, it's a really powerful thing that people sometimes forget about, and it's so yeah. I'd question that and go back and try and understand, like, why did they think that was, maybe like the way you say it, I don't know, but just that thank you in the context of the fact that they've given you time is really, really powerful, I think. So any other questions?
When looking at people's CVs to bring in for interviews, what are like do's and don'ts?
I would say, so I always look for what have they done extra. Like, everyone has to go to school, everyone has to get their grades, and you'll get better grades, worse grades, that's all fine. But what have you done on top of that? How can you, so as I said this morning, being here today, put this on your CV. I took time out to go to this. I didn't have to go to this, I chose to go to this thing. But those little bits of work experience, even if you've got a day work experience, put that on there. How can you make that sound more than it was? What part-time work are you doing? How can you make working in Sainsbury's sound more important? Because actually, just to work in Sainsbury's, there's loads of skills that you're using that you might just think, oh, this is a really rubbish job, it's not what I want to do forever. But wow, you're learning skills there, and you're learning customer service that actually is applicable then to lots of other jobs. So it's kind of, how can I take everything and package it up in a CV? I think how can I show you it? I don't know where I've got it. I've got a really good example. Come and find me at lunch and I'll show you. I've got a really good example of a CV that I loved, where they put their different skills that they thought they had, and they kind of rated their skills, which I thought was quite nice, because it's like, oh, okay, so what, you're 5-star on this, but you think you're only 3 on this, and that's really honest and nice to know, and helps put into context where I thought they would fit. I would normally say never put a photo on, but the example I'd show you had a photo on it, but he'd done it in a nice way. So I think photo's an interesting one, and it's each to their own on that. But actually having your CV designed as well, so you can go online and you can find templates that you can use. Instead of just a boring Word document with black text, white background, you think, especially at the more junior end, there's lots of CVs. Like, we could put a job out for a really junior role and we could get 60 CVs in, and with all the will in the world, you're going to read them all and you're going to try, but actually if there's one that looks really beautiful, I'm going to pay a bit more attention to that and see how they've packaged up their story, because that's what your CV is. And finally on that, because I'm going to let Dan talk, is do a video cover note. This to me is like, I don't know why more people aren't doing it, because we're all getting more comfortable at being on video. So just set your laptop up and sit there and just do a little 2-minute video, put it on YouTube, but private, only with the link, and just, I saw your job come up, I think it looks fantastic, I'm really interested in it, I've done this, this and this, which I think would help towards it, I love the fact that your company does this, and put that on the covering note to go with it, so that actually they can see you and they start to use their senses more, they can hear you, they can see how you present yourself, and wow, they're going to remember that. So to me, that's like the ultimate. If someone did that, I would 100% interview them. Whether I hired them or not, I don't know, but they'd 100% get through the door to come and have an interview with me. So please don't all do that tomorrow, because that's going to be a lot of interviews.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I'm going to get Dan's slide on.